What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? I hope y'all are all having a wonderful, terrific, awesome Thursday. Even I know Hall of Fame game action is tonight. I know there's a little bit to talk about during training camp, a couple of things to talk about around the league. But before we get into all that, I want to shout out to the round table. And who do we have in the mix with us this evening?
Got your boy Hector Flores, a.k.a. the World Series champion.
You got your boy Wise, the wisest of them all.
And you got the number one shit talker, Joseph Tenney.
Before we get into the action, before we get into it, man, you know, there's lots of topics to talk about tonight, but we have to talk about the most important thing in the city, and every night, you know what that is, the freshest motherfucking ingredients. And so shout out to Sauce Nation, shout out to everybody in the Sauce Sports, everybody who subscribe, everybody who tune in and act like they don't be subscribing. You know, there's some sodium from some other squads that like to pop in every now and then and drop they sauce. But hey, we got love for them too, man. So we're going to get into with the Sauce Nation roll call. If you're not familiar with the roll call, man, the roll call is about you. So basically, if you are from the city, man, shout out your side with pride. If you're not from the city, man, let us know. We can send a little bit of that digital love in your direction because it's all love, man. If you ain't in Houston, if you got love for Houston teams, even if you just got love for the Sauce, man, we got some love to send back your way. So we're going to get in it. We're going to see who we got in the mix. And then, like I said, we're going to get into winning, man. It's, like I said, it's plenty to talk about. And we want to know what's on your mind, too. And we'll get the sauce line activated, even though I didn't get it prepared beforehand. We'll make that shake. You know, I'm always on some other shit, you know, but we'll get that right. We'll make sure y'all can call in, you know, and spill your sauce on the sauce line. So let's see who we got in the mix, man, and then we're gonna get this party activated. Starting at the very top, Voodoo C, day 33, Nathan King, T Mac, Seth Clark, KSA 57, what's the motherfucking deal? Houston Homer, Berkeley Boss, Lucas Gomez, what's the motherfucking deal? Already, T Mac, I understand, man. Like I say, I know that football is here. We all fiending, we all addicted to it. You know, we need a little bit, so you know, I appreciate you stopping by. Joshua Jaja, what's the motherfucking deal? El Guapo, Miss Voodoo C, what's the motherfucking deal? Heidi Kleindienst, our resident Britain. I don't even know what you call people from Britain, but she's a UK resident now, United Kingdomer. Elijah Turner, what's the motherfucking deal? D Will, what's the motherfucking deal? Duarte, California, Beaumont, Big Money, Texas in the house. Okay, I see you, Beaumont. Already, man. So like I said, we gonna dive into it. We're gonna talk about what's been happening around the league, around football stadiums across America. But like I said, man, plenty of sauce to spill, plenty of love to show. And shout out to Chandler, already holding down the sauce line, man. You already noticed the Chandler line, goddamn. Shout out to the round table, Hector Tenney, Rising Phoenix, is Chandler. Well, Wise, I'm sure I hope you don't look like Rising Phoenix. You know, you look too like Osweiler. You know, word on the street, they say Tiger Woods and what's his name? I can't even think of the other dude's name. But it is what it is, man. So like I say, first thing I want to get into, you know, like I say, we had a practice today. Said the weather was not the best, so they kind of moved practice up and. You know, like I said, they just had some things. They didn't really practice as long, but they did get some good work in. But a few noticeable names were absent from practice. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily a good thing or something to be worried about because they said there were a few veterans who were, you know, they were just kind of on the sidelines, kind of chilling. They did not practice today. But then there was one young rookie who a lot of us have been talking about, and he was not available. And we talked about, you know, he was kind of walking around with some ice on his knees the other day. We were on KeKe, and also, like I say, Watt. Tyron Matthew, J-Joe, and Sammy Coates also did not practice today. Now, with Coates and KeKe, you know, being younger guys, being guys who are looking for a spot on this squad, is that a bit of concern, or do you think that the Texans are just being smarter this year to avoid a lot of the problems that we encountered last year? We'll start with Hector. We'll go to Wise and Tenney. And so how do you feel about that, Hector? Do you feel like the Texans are actually being smart, or is that a concern with those guys not being available?
I mean, if they want to they don't want to risk any injuries. I mean, obviously, injuries was like the worst thing that we had happen was last year. I think there had to be at least, if there was a record for injuries, we probably have it now. So I mean, you know, it could be seen as like us just being scared, but it is the preseason, so it's never bad to be a little bit safe, especially it's still early. So you kind of want to at least get to see these guys throughout the whole training camp and get to see them in the preseason. So, I mean, hopefully it's like a low risk, high reward kind of thing when you let the guy sit out.
How do you feel about this situation, Wise, with the a couple of noticeable names missing? I know the veterans, like I said, I'm not as concerned about, but with guys like Coates and KeKe being absent, you know what I'm saying? How does that make you feel? What do you kind of think that is due to?
I mean, it was a report that the receivers coach today, he said that QT need to learn how to read coverages. So maybe he sat him out of practice today to get some film study while he was hurt, resting his knees, because he did kind of pull up the other day in practice. So I think the Texans are just being smarter, and they don't want to go injured starting into the season. We all know what happened last season. It was an injury after injury after the injury after injury. Big players going down, and we can't afford that to happen this season. I mean, we got a young defense that's getting ready to get older in age. J.J. Watt's 29 years old, about to turn 30 next season. So our Super Bowl window for this defense is probably like 5 or 6 years. So we need to start staying healthy and building that team chemistry, and also getting guys to stay healthy. That's important.
Okay. I absolutely agree with you on that, man. It's very important. We do have a solid defense now, so hopefully we're able to take advantage of that before that window does close. Tenny, man, with these guys being absent, what does that say to you? Does it mean anything? Does it set off any red flags? Are there any concerns, or you think the Texans are just being a bit wiser after everything that's taken place last year?
I think it's a lesson learned from last year, but also we got to take into account they don't have to make cuts until the last game of preseason. After that game is when they got to cut down the roster. And I think this is what you're going to start to see around the league is guys don't really have to be a rush product out there performing by game 1 of the preseason. I mean, you can kind of ease them in if they're showing signs of fatigue or they're showing signs of an injury being nagging, something like a hamstring or something like that. You can actually rest these guys for 3 weeks and then play them in that final preseason game and see what they're giving you out there as a product. And that's a really good thing for the players and the Texans because these guys are possibly looking at more of a longevity as far as their careers going forward, because you really got to think about it in this new aspect of this new league and with that new rule. I mean, as we progressed through the history of football, more and more rookies are getting hurt because they finish out their season and they go straight into training for fucking the draft. They started going for pro days and stuff like that, and then they hit the ground running after the draft. And if they don't get picked up, then they gotta go out there and try out for other teams. So it's given everyone an opportunity to really get the most out of the players and the players to get the most out of their bodies and actually get some rest. So until somebody says that KeKe is on the bench for this injury, I don't think there's anything to worry about.
About that. Man, I agree, man. Like I said, these things are I think from the learning experience that we had last year. And again, I'm wondering how much input, the strength and conditioning coach does have, with these certain situations as far as not trying to rush guys back into things, or maybe saying, hey, these guys at a certain age, certain injuries may slow them down, may just need a little bit more rest. Now, something I noticed is that Cornell, when he was talking about Watt, says Watt hasn't even been fully unleashed yet, which is a very interesting thing to say. Now, that's the next thing I kind of wanted to get into. Wise made mention earlier where he said that Midget was basically, I believe it was Midget who said it, was that, not Midget, I'm sorry, Midget's the fucking secondary coach. The receivers coach, name slipping my mind right now, basically said that if KeKe can learn to read coverages with the skill set that he has, he will be a very dangerous man in this league. Now, that bodes very well. I'm curious about what presence, Welker's kind of heard that he's kind of moved on and been working with the tight ends a little bit more. But, again, and a shout out to Spitz, because in Spitz's video, he mentioned, Welker being a Texas Tech product. Is he taking some time, maybe to kind of get personal with KeKe and maybe teach him a few things, maybe help him out a little bit? I know a lot of people talk about, that Texas Tech system making guys look a little bit better than they really are. But everything we've heard from him is that he's looking really good. And again, being able to diagnose a defense would only make him that much better. And I mean, like I say, to be a surprise pick that late in the draft, I think it could be a win for us. So, Tenny, how are you feeling about that? Like, what do you think Do you think it's going to take him a little while? Do you feel like, hey, with the right tutelage that he could actually pick up an understanding of NFL defenses early on, or do you think it may be a year or two before KeKe is adequately able to diagnose a defense? How do you feel about that?
I think just from what I've seen out of camp and stuff and what I've heard, basically how I would break it down, man, I mean, if he can hit the ground running, I think he could be a breakout rookie for this year. And, I know it's just practice, and we can't really, blow our heads up and, get this big head about KeKe being like this next big-ass slot receiver that's going to kill everything for us. But definitely, man, I think he has opportunity. And we've been seeing more and more rookies come out here and really shock the league and show up. And if everything is true coming out of camp, once we see him on field, I think it can translate. And especially, I mean, you look at who he's behind. He's got D-Hop, who's the best in the fucking league right now. And you got Will Fuller, whose main skill trait is fucking speed. So, I mean, he can learn from those two, especially with their knowledge and their veteran leadership, and actually apply a lot of his lessons. And plus, he's got Bruce Ellington. And Bruce Ellington, he's been on the grind for a long time now. And, these older guys can mentor somebody with talent like that, and you could really see them, like, ball out.
Okay. Wise, do you have any input? Like I said, 'cause you brought it up, do you have any input on the KeKe situation? How long do you think it'll take him to develop? Or, do you see him maybe being able to bloom a little bit faster than most? Or do you think it's still going to take him a little while?
Honestly, I mean, I think he can come in and make an impact this season. I don't know if it's going to be a fast impact. It might take him a few weeks to get acclimated with the offense. Also, he needs to be able to read coverages, like the coach said. So he already has the speed. He already has the talent. It's just getting that knowledge. And that knowledge is important, especially in the NFL offense. Because we know in the past, like guys like Braxton Miller, we brought in guys like Cecil Shorts. We brought in all these slot receivers, and we haven't been able to do anything with them. So I'm just saying that maybe if he learns the offense, then he'll be able to make a bigger impact.
Okay. All right, I definitely agree. Hector, what are your thoughts on KeKe? We see all the physical traits. We've heard that he has the hands, he has the skill set, he definitely has the speed. If he can get the mental aspect of the game down pat, what do you think, his ceiling is, and how long do you think it'll take him to get to that point?
I mean, it's a process with it. I think, with KeKe, I think we could be patient with him. I mean, we got Bruce Ellington, and that's someone else that he can learn from. Not only that, but you have probably undeniably one of the greatest slot receivers in the game in Wes Welker. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like take your time with him. He'll eventually take the starting role because everybody knows that Bruce Ellington, him and injuries, happen. So I think, I think it's just a matter of time. But luckily he has a lot of people that he can learn a lot from. And, you do have DeAndre Hopkins, who's undeniably one of the greatest wide receivers in the game. And so I think he'll benefit a lot. I think it's just time, let him learn it, let him marinate in the system, and he'll definitely be one of the best.
Okay. All right. So another topic I want to discuss. Excuse me here. Yeah, that's what I meant. It was that's something I wanted to talk about. We've discussed, and the whole world has discussed, and every hater and every other team in the division, they try to use that because they have nothing else to say. They try, Watson got hurt in his ACL, and they try to use that as an excuse to try to intimidate and make us feel like, it's going to happen again, or it happened to him before. So that's they see the tangibles, they know what the intangibles are. They're just hoping on some type of negative. When again, we've seen the actual positives. They're using hypothetical negatives to try to deflate what we're feeling, what we know the man brings to the table. Sean Ryan went out and said, hey, basically, there is no apprehension coming from Deshaun Watson in his game. He's not showing any kind of nervousness. He's playing, looking the same way that he did. So with that being said, if he's back to his old self, if he's back to game-ready shape, and having a chance to work with the ones, having a chance to, a season to diagnose and learn that offense, and then having a couple of things, put in place for him to benefit from. what do you see? Do you see Deshaun Watson coming back out with a similar hot streak? Do you see, things kind of leveling back off? How do you feel the start of this season will be for Deshaun Watson? We'll start with Hector on that one. Okay. Wise, any thoughts on Deshaun not showing any kind of nervousness and basically feeling pretty good about that knee? Excuse me.
When he first started his first game against the Bengals, he wasn't nervous. It was his 22nd birthday. It was his first start off of 3 days because it was a Thursday night game. We all know he never had time with the starting group. This guy came in and he made the biggest play of the game. He ran a 50-yard touchdown after getting hit by Geno Atkins. And, that was the biggest hit of the year. He got hit 5 yards backwards. Suafilo was looking terrible in that game. Dwayne Brown wasn't on the offensive line. So and then the following week, this guy goes into New England against Tom Brady, the GOAT, and he goes and balls out. He's throwing touchdown for touchdown with Brady. This kid is never nervous. This kid's always up for the challenge. He's been doing that since he was in high school. He's been doing that at Clemson. He did it against Alabama. So I will never question his nervousness. I will never question his heart. He's a great quarterback, and I think he'll be all right. I think he might start off a little bit slow, like the first game maybe, because we might run the ball more because, like Hector said, Bill O'Brien wanted to start him off slow with that ACL. So I think we'll acclimate him more in the offense, like into week 2, week 3. But I think he'll do fine, and I think he might win MVP this season. So we just have to wait and see.
Okay, talking MVP. Now, I want to apologize, Hector, when you had made your comment, I had the audio off, so if you don't mind, after Tenny does this piece, I'll let you kind of retort that comment because I want the people to hear what you had said, so I apologize for that. So, Tenny, how are you feeling about that? Does that make you feel a little bit more confident in what Deshaun's bringing to the table, or, are you still do you have any apprehensions about, the knee, and like Hector had mentioned earlier about it, kind of being practice as opposed to live action?
Man, I don't feel any scared about it because Jesus Watson is gonna go out there and light it up, man. So, yeah, we're changing his name from Jesus to Jesus because that's what he is. He's Jesus, and we're gonna need Bill to get a hashtag too. We're gonna call him hashtag No Chill Bill because I think he's gonna let loose on motherfuckers. Because the one thing that's the difference from last year to this year is he's had OTAs, he's had the pre-camps, he's had the training camp right now, and we're going into preseason. He's number one. He's not playing second fiddle to anybody right now. So the playbook is open as we speak. He is reading through from page 1 to how many number of pages you got on that bitch. You want to say it's 300 pages in this complicated offensive book, or you want to say it's 10 pages? I don't care. But I think Bill O'Brien's going to pick up from where he left off last year. And I think if he's smart, he's going to start to bet on Watson. Just bet on him. There's no reason not to. If you don't bet on him, then it's going to hurt us. If you bet on him and let's say like a bad play happens, he throws an interception or something like that, you can always get that back next series. Just let him go out there and play. Give him the opportunity and give him the plays that set him up for success. And I really think that this new chilled, relaxed Bill O'Brien in training camp, I think underneath the surface, he's just jumping with ideas and excitement to get Watson out there and start using him.
Okay. Well, I guess people next door want to start working, and so if y'all hear some ambient, if we will, sounds, I apologize for that. I can't schedule their day. But I'm gonna let Hector kind of repeat what he said earlier because he had some very good points, and I want to make sure that the people hear those. So if you don't mind, Hector, like I say, I apologize again. If you want to repeat that about the knee of Deshaun Watson, I'd appreciate it.
All right. So pretty much what I said was, I think we're gonna start initially a little slow with Deshaun Watson. I think we want to make sure that he is completely and utterly 100%. We don't want to risk any more injuries. So they're gonna start a little slow. Kind of what Wise said was that we're gonna probably start a little bit safe on the offense until we can completely feel 100% confident in Deshaun Watson. And honestly, it's not gonna take long because it's Deshaun Watson. He's been confident this whole time. This is an injury that he's very familiar with. He has a very good regimen on how to get better with this injury. So I think he'll be fine. I think you definitely don't want to. It's things that you don't want to rush, and it's definitely his knee. So I think, but it's Deshaun Watson. I think we'll be fine. Rather be safe than sorry.
Okay.
He did it again.
So here's the deal. We know that Hop was absent for a day or so, and he was trying to discover where the best wings in Atlanta was. He was on a wing mission, apparently. But he returned, and for all accounts, D-Hop is doing what he does. And, again, no questions asked. So I'm wondering if maybe, he may have been scheduled for a veteran day off also, and maybe he just took his in advance, or they did say he had a personal issue to deal with also. But, are there any concerns about Deshaun Watson at all? And we'll start with Tenny and then work our way back to Hector on that one.
I don't think there's any real concerns. Because you really got to think about it, man. This shit is too short to be just waiting around and worrying about concerns and this and that. We don't have like this concrete history where we say we can really just sit back and wait for things to develop. We really got to go out there and start taking the horse by the reins and making our own luck, and going out there and taking advantage of our own destiny. So I don't think there's anything to wait for, man.
Not really yet. I still want to see how the tackle situation is going to pan out. Right tackle to be specific. But you got to kind of wait throughout the season. I don't know if Martinez Rankin is a tackle type of offensive lineman. I think he's better fit as a guard, but we can wait and see. And then he does have a foot injury, and that's very impactful for playing tackle. Also, I want to see how Seantrel Henderson looks in training camp, and I want to see how he holds up against Calais Campbell and these guys. He was the big bet we had in free agency. Can y'all hear me? Oh, okay, my bad. Also, another concern I have is the secondary still. I want to see how these who's the starting corners this season. I want to see how they hold up in preseason. We're going against Sammy Watkins week 1. We're going against Tyreek Hill. We're going against the fast Chiefs offense. So I want to see how these guys hold up. I've been hearing a lot of good things coming out of training camp, but I got to see if these things are true because, these analysts want to talk about this. These analysts want to talk about that. They want to say how these guys are always doing good and being and boosting all the time, but they're not telling the truth all the time. So as real Texans fans, you have to actually watch and scout how the team actually looks compared to what the reports are saying.
Okay. Hector, do you have any concerns, like I say, overall with the Texans, Hop, missing any practice, anything that just stands out to you that you're worried about when it comes to these Texans?
None really, man. Deshaun Watson, we know he's going to be in the starting 11, come week 1. So it's not like we really have to analyze his work or technique or anything like that. So I don't think there's a concern for that. The training camp, you want to see the guys that are trying to fight for those final spots. So, like how we've been talking about that 5th and 6th spot in the wide receiving core, that those offensive linemen that we're going to be having on the bench to bring in for rotation reasons. You know, it's all about figuring out your depth, especially in this off-season training. Is not so much what you're going to get from your starters. You just want to find out, who's going to be that guy we bring in when when we need someone to step up and do their job.
Okay. Now, a couple of good points were made. I know Weiser brought up Seantrel. And there's a couple other guys that we haven't spoke on that I'm going to get into. But from what I've heard, doing a little reading and some things today, I know we saw the picture of Watt working over Henderson, but from what I have been hearing is in reality, Henderson has been looking better than some of the things that have been said about him. That I'm hearing that, there's been a little bit more back and forth with him and Watt. And now I don't know who's really getting the majority of it. But again, like you say, sometimes we're not getting all the full story. Sometimes the media is selling us wolf tickets to get us hype because that's their job, to get us hype about the team instead of necessarily being completely realistic about the team. And so, but what I've heard is from some people over there that, Henderson has been kind of holding his own a little bit decently. Of course, it's J.J. Watt, and, if he is back to form, as many are saying, then shit. I mean, there's only so much you can do on a consistent basis. But does that make you feel a little bit better about, Watson's situation, having, again, like I say, kind of Davenport, not a lot of experience, and then Henderson, a guy we've had questions about who kind of came back from a health concern and now to lead himself into a starting role. But hearing things like that, does that make you feel better, or is it just about Watt still maybe being rusty? Like, what do you feel is the actual result of that? Everybody got swapped around here. Let me figure out where we at. We'll start with Hector and then work our way back around on that one.
I mean, obviously you want your offensive line to be good. It does bode well for Deshaun Watson because, one, he doesn't really have to use his mobility as often, hopefully, this year. And two, because, I mean, honestly, Deshaun Watson is more of a pocket passer. We've seen everything he's done in college, and yeah, he's probably not, he's more mobile than most pocket passers that when we think of that term as of a pocket passer. But Deshaun Watson can get in the pocket and throw it and throw it from the pocket. It just is very beneficial, the fact that this guy can run the ball. So I just don't think I think that the offensive line getting better is going to be fine. We won't know until we actually see these guys out on the field going up against a defense that is trying to get to Watson. So I mean, and then like I said from last year, Deshaun Watson, when he was with that terrible offensive line that we had last season, he actually made him look kind of good. Just the fact that he was able to run out of the pocket and throw, so it made them look on their behalf. They look good, and sometimes having a quarterback like him, it gives you confidence that I can do my job, not probably as long as most offensive linemen would be, knowing that Deshaun Watson will either find his option or he's going to run out, and it just makes that lineman look better.
So, Wise, what are your thoughts on Henderson? Some reports saying that Henderson is better than what people are advertising, that, that photo kind of caught him in a bad light, that him and Watt have actually been having some battles. Is that more of a benefit for Henderson, or is that kind of more of a declaration on where Watt is in his recovery? How do you feel about that?
Right now, like I said, it really don't matter yet because you got to see how these guys go against other talents. I mean, it's kind of good for Seantrel Henderson if you want to look at it that way because he's able to block one of the greatest defensive ends of all time. But we don't know if J.J. Watt is really up to full speed. But also on the plus side, you can say, hey, J.J. Watt is fully back because he's tearing up Seantrel Henderson. So I just got to see these guys go against other opponents, not go against each other. Because, I mean, with the time, with the games going on, and you got different guys, different matchups, and different schemes. You got safety blitzing. You might have a corner blitzing, so that's helping J.J. Watt get to the quarterback, and also with Seantrel Henderson, he can have a guard hedge on the defensive end for him, or a tight end as well. So you just got to see how these guys go into the season, and you got to see how they perform against other talents.
Tenny, trash talking Tenny, man. How do you feel? You know, if you got any trash to talk about Henderson, or if you holding your reservations. I mean, like I say, because some reports have been saying that Henderson and White have been having a decent battle for at least as much as you can expect a guy like Henderson to do. You know, a better job than most. So does that, like I said, does that bode well for Henderson, or is that just a situation where maybe Watt isn't all the way back and he still has room to improve? Because we did mention how Cornell said, you know, Watt hasn't been fully unleashed. So how do you feel about that? What kind of stance do you take on that?
Man, I want Henderson to succeed because it's good. It'll be good for our line. I'm still very skeptical, just because, you know, the fact of the matter is let's break it down to its purest form. Watt and Henderson are coming off of injuries, man. I mean, Henderson's had his Crohn's disease that he's had to deal with. Watt's had 2 seasons out with different injuries, not the same injury, but it's ended his season 2 times in a row. He's lost 2 seasons to injuries. I mean, really, are we just seeing the best of 2 guys who are kind of beat up, or are we seeing 2 guys returning to form to be at the top of their game? And that's the hardest thing to try to understand, especially whenever the media is giving us these stories, telling us, oh, yeah, they're having these hell of a battles. But then you turn around and you'll see a story like Duke Ejiofor is manhandling Henderson. So, I mean, it's an up and down situation whenever the media starts leaking this stuff out. You know, every situation is painted to make the player that they're talking about look better, look shiny, look capable. And I really got to see Henderson in gameplay. I got to see him with the ones. I got to see that happen throughout preseason and see how he handles himself, because I really feel like he's going to be that chink in our armor.
Okay. All right. Good point. Good point. They definitely, like I say, all of y'all, you know, have mentioned that seeing it against different competition is basically most essential to really figure out where we are. Now, I want to jump to that defensive line. We talked about some guys that are possibles, that may be maybes or whatever it may be. One guy that Anthony Weaver came out, he had an interview earlier, and he spoke on, and it's a guy that we've mentioned several times in here as kind of a name that kind of gets thrown under, you know, with Merciless being mentioned, with Watt being mentioned, with Clowney being mentioned, and, you know, Honey Badger and all these other big names. He came out and he talked about DJ Reader being an absolute stud, but being in a position where you don't really notice a lot of things that he does and how much he's gotten better. And he figures that, you know, he's going to be an integral part of this defense. So we'll start with Tenny on that. If a guy like DJ Reader can really blossom a bit more, we saw some shine from him last year. Where do you think that this defense can ultimately end up if we can have, again, like a guy like him and Watt on the line, and again, we know these other names that we've mentioned? Where do you see that being another asset for this defense? Where do you see that putting this defense ultimately?
Man, I think it puts this defense back in top 10 contention. Because let's look at the facts, man. I mean, we're low end defense right now. As far as the books say, that's how we finished out last season. And I know there's a lot of asterisks there, you know, with this name gone, that name gone, this guy gone. But at the end of the day, as Reader establishes himself as a force to be reckoned with in this league, people got to figure out a way to run around him. Nobody's going to run through him. Nobody's going to look at their game against us coming up and game plan and say, you know what, I want to attack Reader all game, because that's not going to win you a ball game against us. Attacking Reader like that, because you don't know who's going to be next to him. You don't know if it's going to be Covington. You don't know if they're going to bring in Watkins. You just don't know what the poison you're going to have to deal with that interior, which forces everybody to have to work the exterior of their line. They're going to have to run to the left and run to the right. And who are you going to run into? You're going to run into Merciless, Watt, and Clowney. That's going to be your problem right there. And I think Reader is in a position in his career to really take that next step and put this defense on his back and say the run stops here. Nobody runs up my gap. Nobody. And that's going to be that attitude our defense has going into this season.
I feel like it changed the attitude and the approach to this defense. It's almost more of, again, a pick your poison. You're either going to try to test Reader, or you're going to face what lies on the outside, which we all know is death. So, again, like I say, Wise, how do you feel about, you know, Reader's development and what he could potentially be this season and what he can contribute to this defense?
I mean, kind of, it's like what Timmy said. I mean, he's a great run stopper, and this guy, he's putting in the work in the offseason. I mean, he's been plugged in since he was a rookie because, I mean, guys went out with injuries, and this guy's seen a lot of time on the defensive line. He's also got a lot of experience in this defense already, and this guy said this offseason on NFL Network, he said, I want to be one of the greatest to go down in history. So, I mean, when you have that mentality and you want to put your mind to it and you want to work hard, the results are going to come. And I think DJ Reader is going to improve this season. I mean, last season we seen spurts of him improving alongside Jadeveon Clowney when we didn't have Watt and Merciless. So, I mean, this guy also, he just doesn't stop the run. He also can pass rush as well. I mean, I've seen him get a couple sacks in the past. I mean, he gets right through that middle. He's a strong guy, and he has a little bit of speed to him. So I just want to see him keep growing in this defense.
Awesome. And you made some very good points about him wanting to be great. And he's also a very unselfish guy. You know, he talks about he doesn't really care about the personal accolades. You know, he just wants to be able to contribute to helping his teammates. And, you know, he talked about some conversations that he has with McKinney when he does his job and things like that. Hector, your thoughts on Reader and what he can ultimately become and what can he ultimately bring to this defense this season?
I mean, a lot of people were wondering about, you know, how the Texans were going to be without Vince Wilfork as that run stuffer kind of guy. And I think that, you know, DJ Reader gives you that confidence that, you know, hey, you know, we already had the guy that getting ready to replace Vince Wilfork. And it's DJ Reader. I like DJ Reader. I thought that he was a great pickup. And he gets better every year, and that's something that you want, you know, to see from your players, that they continue getting better, and you know, he's hungry, you know, just like everybody else. And I think that's going to be the word for this season. I think there's going to be two words that we're going to be using a lot this season. It's going to be hungry, because, you know, that's what the Honey Badger wanted to call us, and then versatility, and that's the other thing that DJ Reader is he's versatile. Not only can you put him in the middle, you can put him on the edge. This guy can do it all on the defensive line. So I think that, you know, he's just going to get better and better, and that makes you feel confident knowing that when we call his number, he's going to go out there and do his job.
Good deal, man. I agree, man, because like I said, again, another guy that we've mentioned, again, probably not going to get the big national attention with all the other names you have to mention, but Reader has been solid, and he's just developed, only gotten better as the seasons go on. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him back on the field. I'm also very looking very forward to Watkins, because I think that just all those Clemson products that we've picked up have been nothing but assets. Now, I know a lot of people talking about the Hall of Fame game and things that are going on, so we're going to step out of the realm of the Texans, and I want to talk about what's going on around the league. But before we step outside of the city of Houston, I want to ask Hector a couple of things, because I know there was an all-star game featuring some of the MLS folks, and that we had a couple of Dynamo in the mix. You care to highlight on that for the people?
So the MLS AllStars went up against the 7-time Italian champions. Not saying that they won it 7 times. They won it 7 times back-to-back. Juventus, who was also in the Champions League final 2 years ago. So they're a really good team. Obviously, it wasn't the stars that were playing. It was a lot of the young players, but you got to really put it in perspective. A lot of these young guys, you know, they're going to be the future of this Juventus team. A lot of them in their 20s, and honestly, they've been playing since they were they've been playing with the academy since they were like 12 years old. So for them to come in to them, it's just regular game, you know, with some of these guys that haven't even played that often. So, you know, these guys that just started their careers like right after college. So, I mean, they went toe-to-toe with them. I think a 1-1 draw in regular time was very respectable. And then to end it in penalties, I mean, Juventus won, but it's fine. Albert Feliz was the guy from the Houston Dynamo that was representing Houston. He did a very good job. He actually caused a lot of frustration on the wings. So he did a really good job. I think he represented Houston well. I think the MLS AllStars represented the MLS very well. Even if it is against the young guys in Juventus, they did a great job. And I think Atlanta did an amazing job hosting the MLS All-Star game. You had guys like, you had 2 Chainz having a concert. like the whole city of Atlanta was behind Atlanta United, and just to see a full crowd in that Mercedes-Benz Stadium for a soccer game is just cool. And then you had Waka Flocka, had an appearance announcing the game, so it was definitely a good like those Atlanta rappers. They are all about Atlanta United soccer, so it's cool to see these like famous guys being so invested in the soccer team.
So soccer Flocka Flame.
Yeah, you might as well call him that now.
Like, I got to come with the corny jokes whenever I can. So I see y'all asked about the sauce line. I'm going to open up the sauce line in like 3 minutes. So if y'all have some thoughts and things y'all want to get ready for that, we'll activate that. And one more kind of before, like I said, we jump around the NFL and some of the other levels of football, NCAA stuff. Astros, I'm hearing Correa's working his way back and a couple other guys. You care to touch on that for us, Hector?
So yeah, so Carlos Correa, he's actually going down to Corpus Christi to start his rehab games. So just to see how he's doing, I think this is a good sign because that means he's going to start playing again, and then hopefully we'll see him back with the Astros. Then we're also going to – not only is it Correa going to Corpus Christi, but it's also Roberto Osuna, the guy that the Texans traded for. He'll be in Corpus Christi as well. He'll be doing his rehab games as well since his suspension will be cleared by August 4th. So he'll actually probably get to be in the lineup for the last Dodgers game, and I think this is a good thing. Jose Altuve is actually going to LA right now, so he's going to be meeting up with the team, getting ready for their series with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I think it's good things, good signs. George Springer did get a little bit of an injury, but I think he's looking fine too. They didn't have to have any major concerns. All that's missing is just Brian McCann, getting healthy again.
It sounds like the Astros are definitely bouncing back. So I see somebody mention the wife beater, and that's going to kind of lead into a little bit
alleged
of
wife beater.
Yeah, it's about
alleged wife
alleged.
beater.
Yes. Until I see, look, y'all know how I side with a lot of these things, but that's just me. So we were talking about briefly yesterday. Me and Tenny were in the mix, and we kind of mentioned the situation that's going on with Urban Meyer, and a lot of people having a lot of things to say about that. Here's the topic of the conversation that I've been hearing is right now he's on paid administrative leave. If Urban Meyer was aware of the situation, should he be fired, and should he ever coach again in the NCAA? This is the topic that I've been hearing a lot of. I kind of have my thoughts, and I'll let y'all answer it, and then I'll kind of get in there. We'll start with Tenny, and then we'll work our way back to Hector. If Urban Meyer is found to have had some knowledge of the situation and didn't react or whatever it may be that he's being accused of not doing, should he be fired? And if so, should he ever have an opportunity to coach in the NCAA again?
It comes down to two situations, all right? There's the one where, yeah, he should be fired and not ever coach again in the NCAA. But I got to say this much. Like, it depends on the circumstances. I mean, when it comes down to it, like, did he, like, the circumstance that I'm talking about that he should be fired and be kicked away from the game is if he knew about it and he tried to sweep it under the rug and hide it. That's the one thing. Like, like I spoke with you yesterday about this. If the wife came to him and says, "Hey, I'm going public with this," and he did everything in his power to keep it quiet, keep her quiet, then yeah, you're a bad guy. You're fucking giving into this shit. But if it was a situation where the wife came to him where she was trying to save her marriage, try to make her husband change, and that was what his involvement is, how can you say he's a bad guy when he's trying to do good for someone? So I mean, I'm not saying that he could be doing good for the wife. So I mean, there's so many different layers to this situation that we don't have any answers for. And that's the biggest problem right now is everybody wants this knee-jerk reaction, like, fuck him, he's a bad guy. He knew about it and this and that. Well, how did he know about it? What was the extent to what he knew about it? Did he know that they were arguing all the time? Or did he know that this dude was piecing his wife up every night? I mean, there's so many things that we don't have answers to that need to be answered first. And I think the public needs to sit their ass down because they are not a courtroom. They are not our peers to judge us through public opinion. Fuck that. You have a right to speech and all that shit, but at the same time, you need to sit your ass back and wait until we have answers.
Your thoughts on the Urban Meyer situation, and if he is found, I don't know, guilty of not doing something. I didn't know that was a thing, but what is it? The Good Samaritan law. I'm sure somebody else try to twist it into something. But if he's found guilty of whatever the fuck is they're accusing him of not doing, should he be fired? And if he is fired, should he ever coach in the NCAA again?
I mean, I just want to retweet what Tenny said. I don't even want to talk about it because with these things, you got to actually find out the truth. I hate when people make accusations. I hate when they come out with all these things before the truth actually comes out. I mean, I don't understand the media these days. I want to hear the final. I want to hear what happened. I want to hear the specifics. I want to hear everything. I want to see this truth. I don't want to. I mean, basically, this is slander. You can hurt that man's career. He can basically sue these reporters just because they put in out reports like this. So, at the end of the day, I mean, you gotta see what's true, and that's basically it, man. I just get tired of these situations because a lot of people have been finessing dudes lately, especially NFL players and college players. So, you just gotta watch out these days.
Gots to be more careful. You ain't lying about that, man. Hector, man, how do you feel about the Urban Meyer situation? And if he's found accused of whatever he is accused, I still don't even know, but whatever the situation is, how should it be handled? And should he ever coach in the NCAA again?
Honestly, man, like, for one, the media, like, how are you going to just put something out there like that and not have any actual proof or anything? It's all alleged. It's not, you know, it's all speculation, and it's stupid that you're hurting, honestly, what would have been, you know, you're bringing down a program that's supposed to be looking for another national championship this season. And I mean, you know, instead of focusing on the season, they got to deal with this bullshit, and it's stupid. Now, if it's true, I mean, what is Urban Meyer supposed to do? Hey, don't do it. Like, what? Like, what is he supposed to do? Go into a house and, like, you know, like, monitor what the fuck they're doing? No, like, I mean, you know, everybody has their lives. I mean, it's not a good thing, and I wish it didn't happen. But I mean, that's just life. How we're supposed to control people? It's like asking a college, you know, it's just like how people get mad about, oh, you know, your college students were out drinking. What, they're freaking college students. They're gonna party, you know. It's not like what was that? Oh.
Yeah, I think it was a little feedback. Yeah,
okay. But
I think it really comes.
No. Oh, I wasn't done.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
But the thing I'm saying is, like, you know, your coach has his own life too. The only thing he should be worried about is getting, you know, the team ready for the games. Now, if those guys want to be idiots and then they ruin their careers, then that's on them. You know, we'll see them on Last Chance U. But I mean, for everybody else, like, you know, you sign a commitment that you're gonna bring your best years into this program, and if you don't follow through with that commitment, then that's your fault. That's not the coach's fault. The coach's job is to make you come to this school, and that's it. I mean, and are you really gonna tarnish, like I said, one of the best college football coaches here in the NCAA? I mean, we've seen it happen to Art Browse. We've seen it happen to Joe Paterno. How you ruin these guys' careers because of like, in the end of it all, what are they supposed to do?
I think it comes down to, like, what, like, the other side, like, the people who are really upset about this situation, is the fact is he the bad guy? Is he the bad guy that's taking care of somebody doing wrong? Or is it just a situation, like I said, is it just like, okay, I kind of know that he's had a rocky marriage, and, you know, what am I supposed to do about that? You know, I didn't know that he was, like, manhandling her. I mean, he took the steps last week to fire him. I mean, so obviously he has a conscience. So, I mean, it's not like, you know, I don't think he was purposely hiding anything. I think it was just the coach. When I say the coach and I say bitch, I'm talking about the coach. I'm not talking about the wife. You know, it's just a bitch reaching out, trying to pull everybody that he can down with him. And I think it's a situation like that. And Urban Meyer got caught up because a bitch attached his name to him.
I agree, man. I agree. Like I said, Urban Meyer, there shouldn't be anything attached to his name. That's not like he was out there, you know, beating up on Mrs. Myers, if there is a Mrs. Myers, or however that works. Again, that's what I do kind of hate that, you know, in every situation, most situations, whatever you do in this country, you know, you're guilty by association, even if you really had no knowledge or no association with the real situation, you know, because there's a lot of people, you know, you can think of one way about a person that could be something completely different. I just had to I know y'all saw me make that face, man. Fucking Madden, I guess they must have received some backlash for blocking out Kaepernick's name in the fucking song that they had on the I guess one of the little intro songs or whatever they have, you know, they have different music and shit. They blanked out Kaepernick's name, but you know, Madden's always blanking out everything. I forgot this whatever. Why you put the song on there in the first place? But now apparently they're going to go back and update it and remove the editing from Kaepernick's name or blanking his name out. Just a quick bit on that. Like I said, I don't know if y'all are familiar with it or not. How do y'all feel about that? Man?
Yeah, I read it. I read it like right before it came.
I mean, it's just the NFL that like it's just the NFL continuing the blackballing of Colin Kaepernick. That's pretty much what it is. So they don't want like, you know, our the Madden video game not having, you know, and you know what? Fuck it, let them do it. Most of the time, I'm not even listening to their music anyways because I have my own music playing anyway. And if I want to play Big Sean, I'll play fucking Big Sean. So
that's great.
So that's all I thought about it like this, like you know, if you, however you want to look at Kaepernick's case and how it was going. Me personally, you know, like I think he had a hard case to prove just because, you know, you got to get somebody down on paper. You got to get somebody down on recording to really like get something like that to fly by in court, especially with rich ass motherfuckers like that. So, I mean, you got to have that concrete evidence. I mean, if this isn't a piece of evidence, I mean, I don't know what is, because it's obviously there was somebody that was dealing with the licensing, because EA has to have this licensing. EA has to have this permission. And I'm more than certain somebody, you know, emailed a list of the songs that were going to be on. And I'm more than certain that song was highlighted and it was like, hey, remove mention of Kaepernick. And I wouldn't be surprised, man. You know how things work. And if Kaepernick's case ever got a little shot in the arm, that was right now. Because why the fuck would EA even worry about it? Yeah, other than fucking being told not to.
Okay. There's a couple little suspect messages I seen from the Uncle Daddy. We're gonna put you in timeout till you get your hormones in check. That's a little odd. There. So
Heidi over here.
Yeah, motherfucking me. Yeah, I mean that to me, like you said, that should be a big piece of evidence to show that hey, obviously there is some type of deliberate exclusion of Kaepernick from anything NFL related. I mean that. And I guess they probably, like she said, you know, they're overcompensating to try to jump back one way because, I mean, it makes them look blatantly guilty because, again, that's the NFL license, the NFL brand. I'm sure that there's definitely some issues with that the NFL has been more than aware of. And I just think it makes them look pretty shitty.
I mean, shit, look at the body of work that EA's putting out there. I don't know if anybody's like a gamer or anything, but look at the Star Wars shit. Look at the Battlefield. They're putting females with prosthetic arms in World War II setting games. I mean, really, what the fuck is a song going to do to hurt you? Like, seriously. Like, why would the mention of Colin Kaepernick have to be edited? I mean, EA has, like, this broad expanse of different games. And it's like, you know, in there's no intellectual censorship. But all of a sudden, on one song, one verse, it has to be bleeped out that his name ain't going to be mentioned. I mean, come on.
Okay. Man, I'm my fault. Let me go ahead and open the sauce line. I see we can call it in on the sauce line here, and I missed that. I forgot to unmute that. So the sauce line is open. If you need the number to text or call in the sauce line, that's not it. This is it. There you go. 832-639-DRIP. That is DRIP is 3747. Excuse me. There's no burps included in the phone number. So if you want to call or text the sauce line, you have some input. Let's wait calling in now. Let's see. Make sure everything is copacetic here. Let me get the right head where he is. Wait, what's the motherfucking deal, man? What kind of flavor you want to sell in the sauce line this evening?
One day I was actually busy at work for once. What about me? Damn, this motherfucker face, bro, look like it's melted off.
There you go. All right, okay, my fault.
His the skin around his chin is so red. It just looks like he's talking about, I need some sunshine. My blood sugar red.
So what's the
but what's the news, man? I mean, what's pretty much been the news for today, man? Because I kind of been out of the loop. Anything going on in camp today that I need to know about?
Man, nothing major, man. A bunch of veterans set out, a bunch of just nothing too much here or there, you know. Just a lot
yeah,
of
I saw that. I saw a bunch of people set out of practice.
Cut short because of the weather and stuff like that, so it wasn't too major. But yeah, that's about, man. How do you feel about the Madden situation? I know you're a Madden man. How do you feel about Madden handling the Kaepernick situation?
Man, I didn't know shit about that until I just seen y'all talking about that. And at the end of the day, that's definitely helps the case because EA is licensed by the fucking NFL. So, because they're an entity of the NFL, it's just something to take notice of. I'm not sure if it's going to have anything to do with the case, but why are you doing it? At the end of the day, if you didn't want Colin Kaepernick's name, if you were going to blank out, you just make yourself look even more guilty by doing little suspect shit like that. Like, if that was the case, why put the fucking song in the... You should have easily listened to the song first. When they mentioned Colin Kaepernick, it was like, oh God, we can't possibly mention that on Madden. You know what I'm saying? Shit, they may end up kneeling on the field or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just the way that that's going to end up going. So, the NFL, the truth will always end up coming to light. And it's going to be beautiful when it does. Because once those dockets are proven, you know, that what these fuckboys are doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's only going to prove that, like, they're not owed no respect. You don't have no loyalty to them or their franchises because they don't have no loyalty to you when they cut your ass for being a man. You know what I'm saying? The only crime that Colin Kaepernick committed was being a black man in America, seeing the shit not being benign to the shit like Dakota Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. They both peons at this point. They can't be trusted as men. And when it's time to do the right thing, you know they ain't gonna say nothing. And that's pretty much my call, man, because those type of dudes, you know, no matter what, Colin Kaepernick answers this shit regardless of what he does because he's been putting his own time, resources. He's been educating people. He's building schools. He's doing this. He's doing that. When everybody a couple years ago, well, he needs to put your money where your mouth is. You know how the detractors always do when they don't believe in something. You know what I'm saying? And how the hell does what he goes through in life? How does that fuck with you? And that's the question that I gotta ask to anybody who felt any kind of way about the whole situation. But that's my call. I'm not gonna take up too much more of y'all time. Y'all hold it down. The soft man had a long day. I'm gonna be back at it tomorrow.
That's a good man. Shout out to Wink. Appreciate you calling in. Any of y'all have any extra input y'all want to put on that?
No, I just agree with what Wink said, man. I mean, because like. It's an unfortunate situation. Like I think a lot of people have talked on it before. Like even like national media has touched on it before. I mean, Colin Kaepernick's in a situation where he was the first one. So I mean, like he's the one that's going to take the most heat because he represents the movement. He represents the want to stand up and be a voice for those who don't have a voice. And that's an unfortunate part of our history, without getting into political, but just it's an unfortunate part of our history that seems to be the trend that happens to anyone that voices their opinion. I mean, if it's not a popular thing with a majority of people, you almost get crucified for it. And you know, just seeing this happen on a video game, I mean, it kind of makes you just take a step back, like, you know, what you're. So stupid.
Okay, kind of cut out. I didn't catch the end of it there. Kind of cut out a little bit, so it was. I didn't catch what how you finished it off.
No, I just said, you know, I just think it's stupid that his name's edited out.
Okay.
I mean, everything about Kaepernick, though. I mean, I support most of the things he did. The only thing I wasn't feeling it when he was rocking that Fidel Castro shirt because I was like, dude,
Oh yeah. That what the fuck?
That was the only thing.
That
I was just like, yo, bro, no, don't be doing that.
That dude was a fucking straight murderer. I mean, I don't know when he fucking was it Chavez or whatever the fuck he was wearing on his that picture now.
It was Fidel Castro.
It wasn't Fidel. It was the one with the beret, the one that was like a fucking Colombian.
Oh, Che? No, it wasn't Che. I'm telling you, it was Fidel Castro.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
That's definitely awful if that's the case. So here's the deal. All right. So another thing that's been going on, we talk about let's jump back into folks that are in the league. Let's jump back to the NFL. Antonio Brown out with an undisclosed injury. Why is this injury undisclosed? And what does that make y'all think? Is the Madden curse back? Let me just throw that up for everybody in the round tonight.
I believe in the Madden curse. I mean,
how?
I mean, it's uncanny. I mean, I'll say a prayer at night for Antonio Brown now, but I mean, it's uncanny how that stuff happens. I mean, if it's undisclosed, I mean, it could be a hair issue. I mean, you know how he likes to keep it sharp and high up top. I mean, hopefully it's something like that because I'm tired of watching the NFL's best players get hurt, and we're spending seasons without them, and we get stuck with shit like the Jags, who are just a surprise team because everyone else is hurt.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure maybe they're just doing some Jedi mind tricks on the rest of the league. They're like, oh shoot, Antonio Brown's hurt. I don't think it's anything serious. And I mean, it's still, if anything, he just won't play the preseason. He'll probably make it for week 1. So I mean, it's probably not that big of a deal. And for the Maddeners, okay, yeah, Tom Brady lost the Super Bowl, but he still made it to the Super Bowl. So I don't know, and got the MVP. So I don't know where that's a curse, all right.
The curse was in the catch.
I'm telling you, man, he finally, he's out of that MVP shadow of Peyton Manning, and he gets the MVP, and then now he's like, he fucking loses it.
That's funny. That's fucking funny, man. Y'all motherfuckers with that suspect shit in the thing.
It's too much sauce.
Is Jay Bird and y'all your fucking 50,000 names. Y'all get y'all asses time to fuck out. Another situation. Oh, we got a call coming in on the sauce line. We'll take the call and then we'll go from there. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the sauce line this evening?
What's up, man? It's Vince, man. Listen to the show all the time.
Already.
And just had a question for everybody I wanted to ask. I'm a 49er fan, but I always follow the Texans too, watching Deshaun. But I just wanted to ask what you guys' thoughts were. What's the deal as far as, we got the preseason going on, coming up and everything, but what about that backup position to Deshaun? Because we hope that he's going to be there whole season. I love watching him, but I'm still concerned about that backup position, and any chance if you think maybe somebody else could be picked up for a backup for him.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that and listen to you guys on that.
Okay, appreciate you, man, Vince. I appreciate you calling in. If it's Vince, I think it is from the Gram. So I've chopped up with Vince a couple of times, man. So appreciate you calling in, man. Appreciate that love.
Appreciate it, man.
Already. That's what I'm saying, man. I appreciate that love. It ain't everybody got to be a major Texas fan. The sauce is for everybody, man. If you got good points, you got sensible things to talk about, it's all love, man.
That was a good question, though.
Man, how do y'all feel about that? I mean, because that's a very important issue. Because I'm not saying that, another season-ending injury can happen. But, little strange, little things happen. Sometimes you want to be cautious about situations. Hey, you don't want to be too late in the games and have you a Rosenfels moment or something like that happen, and just in case anything can happen. This is the NFL, man. And so the backup QB concern, are you guys comfortable with Whedon? Are you comfortable with Webb, or do you feel like the Texans may need to reach out and see if there's some other opportunities on the table?
It's too much sauce.
I feel comfortable. I'm sorry.
I was about to say I think I'm okay with Brandon Whedon at backup. I think with the whole backup quarterback position, you just want to know you have a guy that you could just put in there. And I think, well, so far Brandon Whedon has kind of been that guy for us. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I would have liked to have seen, RG3 or somebody a little bit more in the mobile category, because this offense seems really good when there's a mobile quarterback. I don't know if you guys noticed that trend. Yeah. That this sophisticated Bill O'Brien offense never looks good with a pocket passer, but when we have a mobile quarterback like Case Keenum or Deshaun Watson,
the giraffe.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm more mobile than that giraffe. It tends to look good. So I'm like, Brandon Whedon, he's just like that guy that you can make it the offense simple for him, and he'll at least get the job done. So I don't think I'm comfortable with Brandon Whedon, but I think Deshaun Watson will have a healthy year. If we ever see Brandon Whedon in, it's either because it's gonna be that college football thing where we're going into garbage time and no point in putting Deshaun Watson out there anymore. Just let Brandon Whedon do his thing, or we don't really need that last game of the season.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with him just because the fact is, like, I think Brandon is more smart with the ball as far as compared to Savage. I think that he's more capable to, like, if we can move the ball a little bit, but he's not going to be turning the ball over and leaving the fucking defense defending 30 yards to a touchdown. So, I mean, if the unfortunate happened again, I feel comfortable with Whedon. Well, I would like a mobile quarterback, but we got to get people for the right prices. We got to get people for the right situations. We really can't be relying on duds. I mean, if we could draft a replacement for Whedon and a solid backup for Deshaun in the next couple of years, I'm totally on board for it.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, Wise? You have any feelings about the?
Right now, I'm okay with Brandon Whedon right now. I mean, this guy won some games against the Titans. We all know the Titans was trash. I mean, Titans fans want to argue with us when they lost their starting safety today. Knock on wood. What's his name? Cyprian. He also used to play for the Jaguars. This guy's kind of suspect, but he's a hard hitter and he's a run stopper. So, I mean, anyways, the Titans is trash. But I would like to see us draft a quarterback in the future, maybe just because Brandon Whedon is getting older in age. And I also think we can use Joe Webb is who we have, right, at the so okay.
Oh, good God. Oh, good God. SPM, the guy that finds a word to rhyme with everything, every single line.
Yeah, I remember back in the day.
Good God, man.
Oh, God. Damn. I know Wink had to find him like a little dime sack or something laying around the house to be started singing this shit.
You know my name. I'm the one who came up in the dope game. Victor's probably getting crushed to the bit, right?
I'm not.
Should have never fucked with us.
Oh, man.
We didn't deal with us and us.
Yeah, look. Wink just stumbled across.
Hey, man, I told Paul Wall to his face I didn't care for his music. I'll do the same thing to SPM. I don't care.
Oh,
man, from what I heard, man, everybody used to punk SPM when he walked to the club.
Yeah, when I was in middle school, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I fucked with SPM when I was in middle school because I was like, ah, it's cool. Yeah. And then I listened to it now, and I'm like, what the hell am I listening to?
That motherfucker be, I'm on a Mexican radio. SPM had all of his, man. Oh,
smells so good when she get wet and sticky.
Hey, I want a real story, man. I remember going to the box car show. I was in high school. I can't remember what year it was. It was me and my best friend. We went, we was over there, like Walt's Nest, a bunch of other groups was there. I remember that's when I first came across Walt's Nest. And he had I think he had put out the Wiggy video and the Mary Jane video. And when I say he was on the main stage, when I say the entire car show, it looked like, turkeys when it rained, they look up at the sky. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they say, like, you got to put them up because they'll drown. Because if it rains real heavy, like a turkey will sit there and just look up at the sky. That's what the fuck it looked like. They had the video on the fucking the big screen or whatever. Everybody stopped what they were doing. Everybody paused, and they were just sitting there, like, staring at the screen while me and my partner, we just navigating our way through the crowd. Excuse me, pardon me, because we on some other shit. We ain't really trying to fuck with that. But here we got a couple of texts in, and then we're gonna address that.
Talking about that Wiggy song, man. You know they were laughing while they were like saying Wiggy, 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 Wiggy.
Yeah, that shit is crazy.
Like they didn't even take the music seriously.
I'm telling you, man. Like some of the people in the chat, they so young, man. They don't remember it, but like back in the day, man, that was when everybody was still putting their shit on cassette tapes. Yeah. And y'all probably grew up around like when they were exploding, but I was back in the day where it was on the cassette tape and you was rolling down. You had your bang in the trunk. I mean, that was the shit way back.
Well, I see we having a little bit of discussion about the protest and thing. Man, my deal with the protest, like, hey, if you want to protest, do your thing. I'm not with the kneeling. Like, to me, look, if you're fighting for something, if you're trying to fight for a cause, you fight for it. Kneeling is submission and begging and asking to me. So, again, I may not be all the way in with some of the things that's going on, but like I say, that's my biggest beef with the protest. If you got to do something, represent something differently. You know what I'm saying? If you got to fight because a kneel is not a fight. Regardless of what it is, you got to do something that don't allow people to mistake your what it is that you're fighting for. But again, like I say, people are entitled to do what they want to. That's not my lane.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, there was nothing real. I mean, that's the most attention-grabbing thing you can think of is taking a knee during the national anthem. Now, I will say this isn't the first time somebody took a knee during the national anthem. We had that whole Tim Tebow thing, but yeah. I don't know. I guess it just escalated a lot worse because it's not a white guy. Yeah. Especially when it's Tim Tebow. I think that's like God's go-to guy right now. But it was attention grabbing. The only thing, unfortunately, is that nobody asked why. It was just and it was kind of like they kept finding excuses to like find a way to like use how that taking a knee thing was actually terrible. Like, they're disrespecting the flag, and then it's like, at least they're acknowledging the national anthem. They're disrespecting the military. Half the military was okay with it. Exactly. I mean, I was one of them. And then like they're just finding more ways. Like, they're disrespecting. It's just like, just stop. Just how about you ask them what was the issue?
Exactly.
God forbid we go back in time and watch like a lot of early baseball games and stuff and see everybody sitting their ass down while the national anthem is being played at a game. I mean,
we're getting beer.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean,
I love it when people are like trying to put their phones out, put it on their Snapchat.
Man, my thing is, Jerry Jones came out and said, we're going to toe the line and we're going to do all this, that, and the third, and shit. He had his hat on during the little national anthem the other day. They had a video of that, and his son tried to reach up to him, hey, Dad, take your hat off. It's disrespectful. He halfway looked like he was going to reach for it. He's just like, fucking kept it on. So, I mean, all of this stuff is tomfoolery and shenanigans, man. Like I say, it's a ploy, in my opinion, to get people buying into nationalism and all that other stuff. But again, like I say, my whole deal is you respect it, you don't respect it, whatever your take is. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I just feel like if you're gonna protest, you got to do something a a little bit different to get your point across, you know, to where people, like you said, can't misconstrue it, as Hector was saying, oh, it's this, it's that. So whenever they skew it from one way to a different way to a different way, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
I just realized, I don't know why I did that whole, like, I don't know what was that.
Hector over here fired up.
We should discuss the
I was like, I don't
topic of
even know
child
what that
support
was.
after the Blake Griffin story.
I guess I thought of like
him
that cop from The Simpsons, Chief
$258K
Whitcomb or
a month.
something.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Shout out to Ed, man. I appreciate that love. You know what I'm saying? Ed, man drew up the crow, so definitely appreciate that. We will definitely talk about that in the Kush deal, because that is more of a Kush deal talk. About the $258,000 a month in child support for Blake Griffin.
Oh God, that hurt my heart.
But ain't no way. We're gonna talk about it in the Kush deal tonight. That's actually a good topic. But the link I wanted to get to before we move
I
on,
just
man.
thought it was crazy. It was Blake Griffin of all people.
Man, I didn't think he was into women the way he acts. Anyway, my thing was is this. We got a question from Chandler, and he says, got a question for the round table. Do you think the NFL might change the flag football? I mean, the way it is and the way that it just seems like it's getting softer and softer. People are, you know, more and more people are keeping their kids out of football. More and more people are, you know, just kind of they're seeing the long-term repercussions of playing the game, such a violent game. It is it's very concerning about the future of football. And again, you know, and a lot of the rest of the country is getting softer on so many other issues. Do you see it progressing that way? I mean, we just had a big flag football tournament here in Houston. I think the ultimate prize was like $1 million, and it was getting a lot of recognition. They were showing some games, I think, on the NFL Network or something like that, and it was getting a lot of attention.
I gotta say, that was the most people I ever saw at BVA Compass Stadium.
I mean, like, I gotta say this much: like, everyone that really harps on it, like, honestly, I think it's a good idea to keep kids away from the contact of football until at least, you know, like junior high to college, you know, or not college, but high school. I think it benefits them and their body. Like, you know, when I was younger, man, I broke my collarbone 3 times before I got into middle school football. Like, you know, and that was all through football, man. It was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And, you know, I think as we get smarter about the game, we need to figure out how to keep the players more healthy. Because at the end of the day, it's an entertainment for us, and they're putting their bodies out there. And I know they get paid millions of dollars, but you got to think about some of the guys who are like in college who get injured and can't ever play this game again, and they're just going off of what they can from what their scholarship provided for them.
Okay, exactly. And I think that is definitely something to consider. You have any thoughts?
You know, if you want a good reference, you know, there's a South Park episode that actually speaks on this issue.
Oh, what was that? Was it Sarcastaball?
Yeah, Sarcastaball.
Yeah,
Everyone starts like playing with training bras on and use a balloon instead of a football.
Yeah.
And what was it, tinfoil hats?
Yeah, that shit there is crazy, man. That shit is really wild.
Dude, man, South Park, they predict the future, man. Like, they know.
You know, that's why I love South Park, man. South Park is always on top of the shit and way ahead of the game. That fucking episode with John Travolta and Tom Cruise, and then a year or so later, John Travolta comes out touching male masseuses and shit. Anyway, just come out the closet, Travolta. So here's the deal, man. I want to talk about the injury to Cyprian with the Titans and kind of what's going on with that, because we're talking about actually one of the guys who has been dealing, who hasn't had hadn't had an NFL offer, but they did say he talked with Cincinnati, but nothing came to fruition with that. Are the Titans in desperation mode because Cyprian went down as a safety? They've called the Vaccaro, Reed, Darius Webb, Mitchell. They're kind of out there reaching to find a whole bunch of somebody to replace that. And one is, are the Titans in a desperation situation? And two, who do you think do they end up picking to replace Cyprian?
Honestly, man, like, I'm sure somebody's gonna be wanting to take that job, but then there's them having to learn whatever hell defense Vrabel's gonna be running. It's gonna take time, but I guess luckily for them, you know, preseason is not gonna be for another while. So I mean, if they wanna, well, actually no, we're in preseason now. So I mean, they'll be set back. I don't know how far back, but they're definitely. I think now they're more of an afterthought for me now.
How you feel about that? Brian, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna take a chance on like Eric Reed or Kenny Vaccaro. Those are some good safeties out there. I mean, they got more. Did Trey Boston get signed? Yeah, I believe he did.
Yeah, he did. I think he did.
However, yeah. So they can go after those two guys, but I don't think Mike Vrabel is about that life. I think he's just a guy that's like a figurehead, and he'll let guys run over him. So I don't think he'll go out there and try to make moves like that. And I mean that makes them weaker at the defensive side of the ball. They got to throw somebody in there now. Their secondary was already weak last season. They did add.
Hold on 1 second. I don't mean to cut you off. We got a call coming in. What's the motherfucking deal, Wink? What you got to spill on the sauce?
Man, I wanted to talk about this little Cyprian situation because it's changing the landscape for that defense already. Because in terms of strong safety, you have to come down to really help and run support. And I don't think right now with what they have, because people are overblowing. They got a lot of so-called names, and they only have one above average player at corner, which is Malcolm Butler. And he's going to end up having problems throughout the season when it comes to specific receivers. Sure, he'll be able to hold his own against a certain type of receiver, but when it comes to the elite of the elite, he won't be able to hold them. So when dudes are breaking tackles and this and that, and Jonathan Cyprian was going to be a liability in coverage anyway. We've been watching this man play for years. He was abused last year. He was abused when he was with the Jags. So there's no reason to say that under a new coaching staff that he was going to be able to refine his technique in time to learn how to start playing coverage, because it's just a skill he doesn't possess. Another thing, they should have been reached out to guys like Eric Reed. If they would have go out and go get a guy like Eric Reed, Vaccaro at this point is basically going to end up doing the same thing that Cyprian is going to do if they were to get him. And he's not really going to be a viable option back there with a guy like Kevin Byard, who's going to be able to make the necessary plays when the time comes. And this shit right here is going to, shit is going to be blowing up for them, man. And who knows what Jonathan Cyprian being out, because he may have had enough chemistry with Kevin Byard to whereas the chemistry would have been able to go a specific way. And now chemistry is already being ruined in the secondary for the Tennessee Titans. So I want to get y'all spill on that. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it.
All right. That's a bit. Appreciate you calling in on that topic, Wink. Wise, I'm going to let you finish your thought on that, and then we'll kind of dive into what he said.
I mean, we kind of summed it up. I mean, that's the same points I was going to make. I was basically saying that we used to abuse this guy in the secondary with the Jaguars. I mean, he's just a run support type of safety. So, I mean, anyways, we was going to be able to attack him. Now they lost, like Wink said, they lost chemistry. And with safeties, you need chemistry. You need a consistent gameplay. I mean, we've seen that with our safeties last season when guys like Corey Moore was in and out of the rotation. I mean, it impacts your secondary, and that's when you have those miscues and you guys get beat deep. So, I mean, it's very important that they help them have that chemistry at the safety position.
Yeah, man. I think it becomes harder for the Titans because you got to think about it, man. They still had fucking Adoree Jackson, right, from who they picked up last year, and that dude didn't do shit last year. And dude, man, like they're in a bad situation just overall because they lost Cyprian and they lose that what Wink was talking about, that cohesiveness, and then you're gonna have to go in there and you got to hurry up and bring somebody in camp when it's already started. You've already gone through OTAs, so I mean you got to pick up somebody on the fly and throw them out there and say, hey, you got to take care of us on this back end, especially since we still don't have a pass rush up in front of you.
Like I say, I don't think it alters anything. I don't think it's too big of a concern. So like I said, I'm not necessarily worried. Again, like the points have been made. Cyprian has been we've seen him get dusted and get done bad on multiple occasions. And I'm just not concerned about the Titans either way. I'm just going to be honest about it, man. Again, with Vrabel, the leader of men, in charge of what's going on in that situation, the same guy who said that we feared Mariota when we played him. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? You're the fucking defensive coordinator. Like, that's not something you should want to hear out of anybody's mouth. Again, that's probably just shit to gas up the fucking Titans and make them feel good about themselves. But the fact, like, I mean, as a Houston fan base, like, nobody should ever have thought that Vrabel was worthwhile to say some shit like that. Your job is to game plan for that situation, not to be afraid, not to be worried. Like, the fact that those words came out of his mouth, again, like I say, it just solidified my happiness with his exit. Because, like I say, man, that sounds like some real live bullshit. And then, like I said, you know, the Tennessee Titans fan, appreciate the love. They just let him sit there and lie in their motherfucking face. Let him lie to their motherfucking face when they knew that shit wasn't true. I mean, not at all. Like,
I mean, put this down in transcript. Let me put this statement out there. Tom Savage almost went in on the Titans with that defense coached by Vrabel. So, I mean, he should be scared about the situation he put himself in.
But I mean, if that's what like Vrabel, like, because I remember when he said that, he's like, oh yeah, we were scared of Mariota. I'm like, dude, if you were scared of him, then you're gonna be terrified of Watson.
Exactly. Like, what are you saying? So I mean, like, that's what I say. Like, as a Titans fan, with him saying something like that, you should be worried, not happy about you know what I'm saying, not happy about hearing some shit like that. You should be like, well, shit, Watson's a way better quarterback than fucking what we got. We might be in trouble picking this guy up. But again, like I said, he's not necessarily he's got an OC, he's got a DC for that. He's just going to be a glorified hype man. So, you know, we'll see how it all plays out. But, man, here's the deal. Like I said, we've been talking for a bit, talking some good shit. We're going to probably go ahead and bring this thing to a close. I'm going to try to catch a little bit of the game, still going, and, you know, take care of a couple of things, get ready for the Kush Den at 10. Say fans think Watson's just RG. They'll think what they want to. They're saying RG3 ball tonight. I haven't got a chance to see, but somebody said he's out there looking good this evening. So if that's the case, then hey, whatever. You know, we'll see how it all plays out.
He getting his receivers killed too at the same time.
Okay. Like I said, so I'm gonna check it out, see what's what. I know they said Jackson's supposed to get some action in the second half, so I want to see what he does. So again, man, I appreciate y'all, everybody in the round. I appreciate everybody in the stream tonight. But before we get out of here, you guys in the round table got anything you want to say?
I want to address something real quick because I saw it on the chat and they were wondering about this. Wise, what the hell are you doing wearing a LA Dodgers cap?
Nah, me and my friend got a bet going on. So I mean, he a Dodgers fan and I'm an Astros fan, and then he a Jaguars fan and I'm a Texans fan. So we wearing each other's hat because of the series coming up this weekend.
Okay.
So he wearing the Astros hat, I'm wearing the Dodgers hat.
Okay. That was, yeah. I did notice that earlier. So that's fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Shaq Kush with his tomfoolery. But yeah, man. So here's the deal. I'm sorry, but anybody else have something they want to say before we get up out of here?
Oh, well, I mean, shout out.
Oh, shout out to the chat, man. Y'all showed up again, man. Shout out to y'all, as always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the Texans. I got the email. I got free training camp tickets for August 13th on a Monday. And then,
oh, you got it too?
Oh, you got it?
Yeah,
I got it for the 16th.
Man, they told me I ain't get shit. They said, fuck you and Soft Sports. You don't get no motherfucking tickets. Fuck you, nigga. I heard you talking shit.
16 going in on you.
So I ain't get no love. That's what's up. Congratulations on that, both of y'all.
Appreciate that.
But yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Thanks for, once again, putting your time to listen to us. And I know sometimes we always don't say the things you guys want us to talk about, but hey, fuck it, it's our show. But nah, yeah, I really appreciate everybody. Make sure you guys follow all of us, man. We're always putting in good content. Just thanks for everything. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for y'all.
Absolutely. Anybody else got anything else for a close out? Gucci. All right, so here's the deal, man. Here is the motherfucking deal. We're going to have some Kush Den at 10. Den at 10. I appreciate everybody who called in on the sauce line. Wink. And appreciate all the super saucy super chat love. Appreciate everybody who just may have been fucking with the flavor again, man. Make sure that y'all utilize the sauce, because the winner of the sauce will, at the end of the month, you know what I'm saying, whoever has the most sauce at the end of the month, we'll get some sauce merch. So shout out to Voodoo Child. Should have a mug on the way. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna tell you what color it is. You'll see it when you get it. She said surprise me. And let's see. What else? I'm gonna make sure I cover everything. Like I said, everything's been said. Appreciate y'all taking the time. What else? I mean, pretty much everything has been covered. I mean, great show tonight, fellas. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Yeah, it looks like what it is. Voodoo had I think when I checked it before we reset it, it was like man, I wrote it down. It was like 100 million and some, maybe 110 million. I don't even know where I wrote it down at. It was something outlandish. I have to find it. I'll tell you, but it was definitely it was 100 million and something. But again, like I say, so make sure y'all
calling in the
utilize
sauce line guarantees you 100,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Use that, utilizing the sauce line, utilizing the text message, get your 50K. And again, like I say, man, so we're gonna make this thing worthwhile. I said going into the season, man, I want y'all to expect new things, big changes again. Everybody who's interested in getting in on the fantasy football, make sure you send an email, or you can text the sauce line with your email to email the saucesports@gmail.com. Or again, you can email the sauce line. If you're interested in getting in on the Madden on Xbox or PlayStation, make sure you send your whatever system you operate on and whatever your gamer tag is, and you can send that to either the saucesports@gmail email or the sauce line, and we'll make sure to get that. We'll get that all together. I'm just trying to think. Again, I know y'all wait on to know your text. I know y'all said, I've been saying it was gonna get out today. I actually got kind of hindered today in a little bit of things, and but I promise y'all, there's gonna be the best fucking videos y'all seen from the sauce. I promise that. Like I said, I want to step it up, get some better quality things going on. So I think y'all are gonna like that. So it'll be worth the wait, but they'll be live. But with that being said, man, we're gonna check up the deuce. We'll catch the rest of the game. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Man, hey, y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. I appreciate the time that you take fucking with the sauce, man. Roundtable, I appreciate y'all also. With that being said, chuck it up the deuce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool, and we out.